Hello, I'm Dr. Steve Hotze. I bet when you hear the word sex hormones, the first thing that pops into your mind is sex and how it affects our sex lives. But you're going to be surprised to learn that the sex hormones play a profound influence on our body's weight. And that's what I want to visit with you about. The sex hormones in females, of course, are estrogen and progesterone. They're made by the ovaries. The ovaries are the sex glands of females. And in a perfect world, in a perfect cycle of 28 days, on day one, which is the first day of a woman's menstrual bleeding, she starts to make estrogen hormones in increasing amounts. And the estrogen hormones are proliferative hormones, and they cause the tissue to build up in the inner lining of the womb. And then mid-cycle, on day 14 or 15, the ovaries will ovulate and an egg will come out. In that point in the cycle, progesterone is made, and progesterone is an inhibiting hormone. It balances out estrogen. It matures the inner lining of the womb, preparing for a pregnancy. So we have this yin and yang effect between estrogen and progesterone. They're both very, very important in a woman's overall health. Now, when they're imbalanced, it can cause adverse effects. When they're in perfect balance, women feel extremely well and they feel healthy. Progesterone, by the way, is the hormone of pregnancy as well. It means promote gestation or promote pregnancy. So, as an aside, when women are pregnant, the placenta which belongs to the baby makes copious amounts of progesterone, which dramatically increase over the pregnancy, so that women have their pregnancy promoted by the progesterone hormone made by the baby's placenta. So in a woman, it's progesterone and estrogen. In men, the predominant hormone, sex hormone of course, is testosterone, which gives men the male sex characteristics. What does it do? It makes men be aggressive and bold in their actions, in their activities. It's what young 20-year-old soldiers have flooding and coursing through their veins that causes them to charge hills that have machine gun fire, thinking they're invincible. Testosterone also plays a very important role in weight. When men are young and healthy and they go through puberty, have that high squeaky voice, young boys, and they have that high squeaky voice, and all of a sudden testosterone begins to be produced by the boys' testicles, and all of a sudden they grow and they get tall and they get muscular, and their voices go from high and squeaky to hello mom and dad, deep voices in a matter of a year, and they get secondary sex characteristics, the facial hair, and they become young men. So in women too, the female hormones also govern a woman's sexual and bodily features. It governs the production of the breasts and the budding of the breasts, and it causes them to begin to have their menstrual cycles. So they play an important role in the life of developing as either a male or a female. Now, as we age and mature, the hormone levels begin to change. As a matter of fact, as we march through our lives, both in men and women, hormone levels will decline. So when women are young and they have this balance going on between estrogen and progesterone, at some point in their menstrual lives, the progesterone levels begin to decline. It can happen after a pregnancy. How many of you, after you had your first or second child, notice a dramatic change in your metabolism, your ability to produce and use energy? I bet a whole lot of you can say, that happened to me. And it does, because when a baby is delivered and the placenta is delivered, the ovaries have to turn back on after that pregnancy. And oftentimes, the balance doesn't occur. The progesterone isn't produced in adequate amounts. Women oftentimes go through postpartum depression when they have this. And the real key in solution to that is not antidepressants, by the way, it's progesterone and a little bit of thyroid hormone. So when a woman's progesterone levels begin to fall, she has, and her estrogen levels may fall, but not as rapidly, she has a situation which is termed estrogen dominance. It's a two-sided coin, really. The other side of the coin is progesterone deficiency. So when progesterone is made in less than adequate amounts to balance the estrogen, what we have is estrogen dominance. Now, that adversely affects a woman's overall energy production as well as her weight. Obviously, if your metabolism declines, what's going to happen to your weight? Eating the same amount of food, your weight will increase. Now, the hormones themselves don't govern your metabolism so much as the thyroid hormone does in the neck. The thyroid hormone is produced by the thyroid gland. It enters the bloodstream, doesn't do anything in the bloodstream, has to enter the cells. In the cells, it enables the cells to produce and use energy. When women have this imbalance between estrogen and progesterone, this condition called estrogen dominance, guess what it does? It causes the liver to produce high levels of a protein called thyroid binding globulin. Guess what thyroid binding globulin, that's thyroid binding globulin, guess what it binds onto? Thyroid binding globulin? It binds onto thyroid hormones in the blood. So it attaches itself to them, much like I like to explain it like this. Think of the thyroid gland as a quarterback. Think of the thyroid hormones as a football. The thyroid gland throws the football, right? The quarterback throws the football. That's the thyroid hormone in the blood. Oh, now we have defensive halfbacks because we have estrogen dominance. We have thyroid binding globulin that gloms on and knocks down these passes and prevents the passes from being completed. So the thyroid binding globulin deflects and gloms onto the thyroid hormone so it can't be properly received and uptaken by the cells. So you have it in the blood and it measures in the blood, but because it's bound to thyroid binding globulin, it can't perform its proper function. So you get lower levels of thyroid hormone in the cells. That's what happens and causes the energy production to be lower, and that's what causes the metabolism to go down and the weight to go up. So you can see in a female, as she marches through her menstrual life, this happens after childbirth commonly, and it happens by the time a woman hits 35 or 40, she starts having anovulatory cycles. That means she'll have a menstrual cycle, and she won't ovulate some months. And when she doesn't ovulate, what happens? Well, she gets heavier bleeding because the estrogen has not been balanced, and she'll start getting premenopausal symptoms like headaches and mood swings and breast swelling and tenderness and fibrocystic disease and heavier bleeding. And then maybe the next month she has the right amount of progesterone, or the progesterone is produced, and so she doesn't have that heavy bleeding that month. So what happens is a woman marches through her menstrual life, inevitably she will develop symptoms of hypothyroidism to one degree or another. Some women have less symptoms of hypothyroid, some have significant symptoms of hypothyroid, and none of these will show up necessarily in blood work testing the thyroid hormone, because when we test thyroid hormone blood work, guess what? It measures a range which consists of where 95% of the people fall. This is how they determine the thyroid hormone range, which, of course, the thyroid hormone governs your metabolism. They take the last 1,000 lab tests, they get the average or the mean, and they apply, this is the lab, applies 2 standard deviations to that. Well, 2 standard deviations from the mean encompasses 95% of the people. 95% of the time, everybody is going to have a normal thyroid hormone blood test, or thyroid stimulating hormone test is what they use. Well, it's as wide as the Grand Canyon, as tall as the Empire State Building. And so if this is the range, and when you were younger your thyroid hormone level was here, but now you're intracellularly now, or in the blood, now your level's here, it's still within the range, but you're not at the optimal level for you to be able to produce adequate amounts of energy to run the cells of your body. And remember, the thyroid hormone governs every cell of your body and enables your cells to produce and use energy. The brain has 20% of the energy production of the body. Guess what? Your energy production goes down, metabolism goes down, Your thinking is going to go down. So women tell me, I got brain fog. I just can't remember things like I used to. I feel like I'm getting Alzheimer's. I'm only 40 years old or 45. That happens very commonly. But what happens most commonly in women is they begin to gain weight. And they come in, Doc, I just haven't changed my eating habits, and I exercise. I just can't lose the weight. It doesn't want to come off. Well, part of the problem with that is that they have got a situation of estrogen dominance, which is adversely affecting their ability to properly utilize the thyroid hormones and get them into their cells. So what do we do for that? In women, we inevitably will offer them treatment with natural progesterone, day 15 through 28, to help balance out the estrogen. That makes a huge difference. And we may also add a little bit of desiccated or natural thyroid hormone supplementation to that, and those in combination, because these two hormones work synergistically, as do all the hormones, this can have a profound effect on a woman's overall energy level, energy production, get the metabolism up. Guess what happens inevitably if you do that and they eat correctly? The weight comes off, and it comes off very easily. So that's how you can understand how the sex hormones in women and females can adversely affect, when they're out of balance, a woman's ability to lose weight and cause her to gain weight, because functionally she's hypothyroid. Now in males, the testosterone levels gradually decline as men age. By the time a man's 40, his testosterone level is going to be 2/3 to 1/2 what it was at his peak when he was in his early 20s. By the time he's 50, it's 1/2 to 1/3 of what it was. By the time he's 60, it's 1/4 of what he was when he was in his 20s. Now, testosterone is very important for brain function, initiative, assertiveness, sense of well-being, self-confidence, moods, goal orientation, drive, directiveness, decisiveness, analytical ability. Most men think of testosterone as, well, that's for my sex drive and my abilities. That's what it's for. More importantly, it's for your brain function and how you think. And we know that men that for some reason or another, or hypogonadism, they have non-producing, or they have poor production of testosterone from their testicles, or if they've had an injury, or maybe they've had surgery due to cancer or something like that, and they've had their testicles removed and they don't produce, and they're a eunuch, and they don't produce thyroid hormone. They can't think in 3 dimensions. They can't think solid geometry. They can't read maps. They're listless. They don't have any drive in their life. If you give them testosterone, boy, everything perks up. Their initiative, assertiveness, sense of well-being, their self-confidence, moods, goal orientation, drive, they're ready to go. They think clearly. Besides that, testosterone affects our muscle tone, muscle mass in men, as well as our cardiovascular function. Remember, the heart's a muscle. It also affects men's abilities to their romantic moods and inclinations, and their abilities as men to be potent. Men are not low in Viagra, for crying out loud, in a bucket. They're low in testosterone. That's what adversely affects men's abilities. And you see this on the TV. They treat for ED all the time. They go, I use Viagra or Cialis or something. Cialis. Well, that's not the answer. Those are drugs that are toxins, for crying out loud. What you need to be taking is supplementation with testosterone. Now, as testosterone levels go down, guess what? Metabolism goes down. You know why? Because testosterone is critical in the conversion of the prohormone T4, which is a thyroid hormone with 4 iodine atoms on it, to the active thyroid hormone T3. T4 is the inactive thyroid hormone. T3 is the active thyroid hormone. You've got to have adequate amounts of testosterone to make that conversion intercellularly. So as we age, as you age, your hormone levels are going to decline, ladies, and become imbalanced. Your progesterone level is going to fall. You're going to have estrogen dominance. That's going to adversely affect your ability to properly uptake and utilize thyroid hormone. In men, as your testosterone levels decline, guess what? Your metabolism, your energy level production is also going to decline. What do? It's real simple. In women, we replenish their progesterone and balance their estrogen that way, all the way through menopause, and they continue on that regimen. As long as they feel well and are doing well, these are the same we use bioidentical hormones, by the way, the same identical hormones got put in your body to begin with. And in men, we use testosterone supplementation to get their testosterone levels up. And that helps the overall energy level go up, the metabolism goes up, and guess what? If you eat right, then your weight will go down. So now you see that the sex hormones are just not about sex, but they're about your energy production and they're about your weight. So if you want to get on a path of proper weight loss, you absolutely have to balance your hormones and replenish them as you mature. Now, let me mention something to you. I want to give you a copy of my book, Hormones, Health, and Happiness. This book talks about the sex hormones, female sex hormones. It has a chapter on the male hormone testosterone, it has a chapter on thyroid, and it talks about how these work together synergistically and how they have a positive influence on one another. I want you to have that free, and you can get that by going to the link below and fill out the form, and we'll be glad to send you a free copy of my book, Hormones, Health, and Happiness, or you can call our center here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center, 281-698-8698. That's 281-698-8698. Talk to one of our new guest consultants. Ask them to send you a copy of that book. And you might also schedule an interview with them to see what we offer here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center and how we may be able to partner with you to help get you on a path to health and wellness so you can get your energy level up and feel exceptional again and obtain an ideal body weight. Thanks again for joining us here. I'm Dr. Hotze. Thank you so much.